Hey, what's good, everybody? It's me, your hero, Benjamin Banks, and you are watching and listening to a brand new episode of Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. And joining me, as always, are my co-hosts, Rebellious D and Trav. How you fellas doing today?
Peachy.
Ready to go. I see you shooting the arrow like always. Just got to make sure, man. And joining us on today's episode is the very talented voice actor, Mr. Jason Marnocha. I messed it up.
You got it. No, you got it.
Oh,
you got it. That's
right.
just
okay.
it.
Just making sure.
Yeah, hey, you ruined it.
I was just talking with Trav about this the other day, where it's just like when we have people come up here, I'm just like, I hope I don't mess up. I hope I don't mess up. I hope I don't mess up. So, but yeah, Jason, thank you for joining us on a new episode of Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks.
No, thank you for having me. The pleasure's all mine. Glad to be here,
man.
Especially because I see so many friends being on this thing. So I'm just like, oh, right on. You know, like I was delighted to be asked.
Yeah, we've been passed around. We've been passed around.
Easy, Trav.
We're making the rounds here on Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks, and it's been an incredible journey. It's been a bizarre journey, bizarre adventure. You know, I'm gonna have to go ahead and do the plug. So before we get into today's interview, everybody that's watching and listening, make sure that you like this video, you subscribe to the channel, and you hit that bell button so that way you're always notified when we have new content here on Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks.
Podcast in the description. We need y'all to check that out. Thank you.
And so
I don't get no politer than that. And you got to check it out with my man. That polite. Damn.
Thank you, Trav. Thank you,
Trav. He
Trav.
ain't screaming. He ain't yelling.
Nah, not yet. Not yet. You already know.
He put up the prayer hands. Usually D just like it's in the description, pointing down at it. So
all right,
check it out.
I appreciate that, D. It's good having you back, man. Like, you know, I feel like ever since you were revived,
you've
Dragon
been back, bro. Where you been?
But I'm just saying, like, I've
been back for a couple episodes, right, Trav?
Yeah, but since he's been revived with the Dragon Balls, it's like he's a new person. He's not the same.
That's not true.
He's not the same rebellious.
We still have our views on JoJo. So
and Banks always living in the past, bro. We moving on to the future.
Thank you very much.
All right. Also, I'm like that the lyrics in the Black Eyed Peas song where it's like I'm so 2000 and late.
That's right.
Okay.
I just thought
we 2000 and great.
Oh,
okay.
Trav, he got it. He won the prize.
Well, let's go ahead and get into today's interview. So, Jason, something that we do here on Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks for all of our guests, we asked them what is their origin story. Every villain and hero has an origin story. So, tell everybody that is watching and listening right now, who is Jason?
Well, oh boy, who is Jason? I had to answer this not too long ago too. It's one of those weird introspective things where I'm like, let's see. Well, I mean, obviously, I'm a voice actor type person, and I'm originally from Indiana, a little bit outside Indianapolis there. So, you know, I'm used to living in a place that actually has seasons. So living here in Los Angeles is a little different. But I mean, I was a big movie fanatic as a kid. I was a musician. I used to play the violin, saxophone, piano, all sorts of stuff. But then I eventually moved on to wanting to perform. So, started doing stage work and things like that through high school. And then eventually, after working some jobs, went off to college, got my degree in radio. And it's been voiceover ever since, because I found that what I liked more about voiceover than I did about doing stage stuff was, one, nobody can see you. So that's helpful. So you can make all the ridiculous, stupid faces you need to in order to get a certain sound out. And then also, I don't have to memorize scripts anymore, which is just delicious, because that is one of my least favorite parts of the entire process, just having to run through. So I guess that's what really drew me to voiceover. And I mean, you know, I grew up loving cartoons. I mean, who doesn't? You know, the original Boomerang lineup back in the day, and the cartoons, What a Cartoon Show and everything, and Batman the Animated Series, and all those other Bruce Timm offshoots, and things like that. So I always wanted to kind of get into that world, and I didn't realize, you don't really realize when you're younger that that's a job that someone's doing. And so, once I figured that out, I ended up having a lot of fun, getting to do a lot of cool stuff. Flew out here eventually because I was tired of flying back and forth from here to Chicago. So thankfully, that's panned out a little bit in the world of anime and other things. So, it's been so that's the very condensed version of me. Nice. There you go.
Mm-hmm. Hey, it was a cool origin story. Now, something that I wanted to kind of piggyback off of what you were saying about how when you're doing voiceover work, you're behind the microphone, you're not on camera. And I could already tell by just how you were talking, it's like you were moving your hands and you were being animated. Is that something that carries over when you're doing voiceover work? Because to also do another piggyback, when you had mentioned Batman the animated series, like we had saw like with like Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy, it's just like they were very animated when they recorded in the studio. So is that something that you do as well?
Yeah, it depends on the character. Because Mark Hamill, when he does the Joker, he always says he needs to stand up to do it, to give it that energy. So it depends. Sometimes I'll stand, sometimes I'll sit. But a lot of times I'll do stuff with my hands, especially if there's an action sequence or something, or whatever. If you're trying to really nail down some physical movement or something, or other times it's something you have to kind of fake vocally, like if a character is kind of standing up or whatever in the middle of a line or something, you just kind of that a little bit in your spine and things like that. Yeah, so it's kind of fun to be a little more animated, especially for characters kind of in a Mark Hamill vein, like in Dragon Quest and stuff, like very emphatic and moving your hands and things like that. So it depends on what's called for, but I tend to move my hands a lot if I don't stand up.
Yeah.
So
now,
that's a long way around that answer.
Piggyback off of Mark Hamill and Dragon Quest. Now, Dragon Quest was the first time that I had actually looked you up because I had watched the movie and I thought that it was Mark Hamill who was voicing Object, and I was just like, oh wow, like that's not Mark Hamill, but he does a phenomenal job, like sounding like Mark Hamill. Like if I was a Batman animated series fan and I heard your voice and I didn't, go and see if it was Mark Hamill that actually did the voice, I would have thought that it was Mark Hamill. So like, what was the inspiration behind doing like a similar voice? And I mean, because the character looks like the Joker, you know what I'm saying? So like, that's the reason why I would, you would think that it was Mark Hamill voicing the character.
That was a big part of it, was even in the production side, when we got the auditions, it had a picture of him and he looked like that with his crazy sort of chameleon eyes and his big eye on his forehead and stuff, and it did say we're looking for a Mark Hamill Joker type sound. And so from there, you kind of try and mix that in as much as you can, especially with like because he laughs a lot, so doing that took some doing. I like characters that are maniacal and cackle all the time, so that was a lot of fun. So yeah, it mainly just stemmed from the fact that they asked for that. They were specifically looking for a Mark Hamill type sound.
Nice, like yeah, that's awesome. Well, you did a phenomenal job.
Oh, thank you. That was fun. That's some of the most fun I've ever had, because I usually play sort of like bigger, scarier monster characters or whatever. Like I don't get to sort of play those little up and down characters like that, so that was a lot of fun for me.
Yeah, awesome. So were you a fan of the Dragon Quest games before you had got the part in the movie?
Nope, had no idea what it was. But I had no idea. I mean, I had heard the name, but I didn't know that it was a big thing. And then as I'm looking through and stuff, especially with the design and stuff, because I was like, man, how have I never seen this crazy looking character before? This Bishop Logic character. And then you start going and looking through and you're like, oh, they made him crazy for this particular version. Like he doesn't usually look that screwy. And so I thought that was fantastic. I really like his design in that. And honestly, I keep wishing that they would. I wish that it was a series of some kind or something, so that I could have like a little figure of him or something, because I just love his visuals so much. But I had to go looking for that stuff after the fact and figure it all out at that point. But going in, no idea, which is kind of the way that I actually like some of my stuff, especially with anime. I don't usually watch a lot of anime. So, if I get, a role, I go in not knowing anything about anything that's going on. So unless, I guess I had seen some of Seven Deadly Sins when I went in there, but
nice, right?
Usually though, I have no idea. So it's kind of fun to, okay, so what's this about? Who am I? And why is it a talking shoe? Or whatever. Just it's fun that way because it's kind of spontaneous. I kind of like that.
So Jason, go ahead. Go ahead. No, I was just gonna ask. So you admitted to us that you don't watch a lot of anime in particular.
Mm-hmm.
So what is your thing? What do you like to watch when you're you got free time if you're gonna watch something?
Honestly, it varies. I mean, usually if I thankfully no, although honestly that may lower my blood pressure a little bit and maybe good for me, but no, I like to watch lately I've been trying to introduce some friends to some shows that I really like Peaky Blinders is one that I really like. So I like a lot of live action. Yeah, Peaky Blinders is great.
Really good.
Things like that. And so a lot of more live action drama things. I was introducing someone to Hannibal not too long ago, which is exactly what it was. And so that kind of thing. And not that I don't watch animation at all, but if I'm going for something late at night while I'm sitting down with some friends having a drink or something, I'll throw on something like that.
Okay.
Or something goofier, I can throw on The Room or something and just enjoy it for
hey, there we go. When we was just talking about The
I have the DVD copy I have has been signed by Tommy Wiseau twice in 2 different locations. And and one of them said, the very first one says, "To Jason, love Tommy Wiseau." And to this day I'm like, huh?
Yeah, so many classic moments from that movie. I don't know, and it's like, you can go on YouTube and just watch the clips. And that's what I recommend for anybody who wants to just have a good laugh.
Oh God, yeah.
But I feel like every time I watch the clips, it never gets old. One clip where he picks up the huge tube TV, and he picks it up like nothing, and just
and he turns it into stock footage as it falls down.
Yeah, I'm just like, how strong is this man? And just so many catchphrases from the movie, like hi Mark.
Oh hi Mark.
I did not hit her. It's not true.
I did not.
I did not.
Hi Mark.
Oh my
They're
God.
always
Honestly,
just throwing the football.
What's funny about The Room is that, for one thing, when it's safe to do so, if you haven't seen it live, you totally need to because it's amazing. There's so many weird, it's sort of a Rocky Horror tradition things where every time you see the table side where there's the framed picture of the spoon, you have to yell "spoon" and throw plastic spoons at the screen and things like that. It's just ridiculous nonsense like that. At one point during the party when Tommy's looking around and stuff, everybody runs up to the bottom corner of the screen and they go, "Johnny, down here," because he looks down there and goes, "Ha." At one point, and so he looks like he's pointing at them. Yeah, so just weird little traditions like that are really fun. But what's interesting about The Room to me is that it does have really good rewatchability value, as opposed to, because everyone's like, it's the worst movie ever made, and it's like, I think that there are worse movies than that don't have good rewatch. I can only watch Birdemic, Shock and Terror maybe once every couple years, and then I have to put it down for a minute and not look at it again, because that one's a slog to get through. But The Room is just such a weird phenomenon that it never gets old for me. I love The Room.
The Room to me is one of those ones where it's so bad it's kind of good.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like a car wreck. You can't look away, but it's horrible.
But weirdly, it's like a car wreck that someone orchestrated. It's really weird. Yeah. Somehow everything crumples in just the right way, and yet it's still horrific.
However, though, I did enjoy the Hulu. I can't remember the actor's name. Seth Rogen's boy.
James Franco.
James Franco. The disaster artist.
The disaster. Yeah. That's legitimately a really good movie about that whole situation.
Oh yeah. You know what though? It's a great film. I enjoy it, but they change a lot because it's based on the book that Greg, the guy who plays Mark, wrote called The Disaster Artist, and it tells a lot more about the kind of awful stuff that Tommy did, and but the movie version Tommy had approval of, so that's why they changed it. Everyone laughed at the first showing and stuff. Everyone was confused and weirded out by it.
That's what I told Banks the other day.
Yeah, nobody laughed and enjoyed it and everything, and also if you are ever going to read the book, which I do recommend you do, if you grab the audiobook, because Greg reads it himself and his impression of Tommy is perfect. It's incredible. It's so good. So him doing all of the Tommy quotes is just it's like he's in the room with him.
if you've never seen an interview with this dude, he is I don't know words to describe him, but he's an odd dude.
He's the weirdest man in the world.
Bro, I thought you was gonna say something completely different. I thought you was gonna say he's an awesome person.
No.
He's here of the realm.
Yeah, I literally can't think of adjectives for this guy, dude. He's just
they haven't been created
weird.
yet.
Yeah, he's weird, and I don't like using that term because like a lot of us are weird, but it's like a weird. It's like a weird. No.
He's weird to the weird people.
Yeah, it's
Thanks, you're a little around the edges.
I just try to be there for everyone. I try to be everyone's hero.
What's that
like Michael?
There you go.
But that ain't got nothing to do with what we talking about. You see,
it does because
I gotta be there for everyone. You call him rough around the edges, and he's like, "Well, I gotta be there for everyone."
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Hey, I gotta be there like the Flash, and I'm talking about the CW.
Like Endeavor. You gotta be there like Endeavor.
I picked the right shirt tonight.
No,
definitely not Flash.
But Jason, I wanted to ask you because to go back to the whole Mark Hamill thing. Now, because you can do like his voice like spot on, were there any other celebrities that you can do really good voice impersonations of?
Some of them are entirely useless. Like if I do a little bit of James Mason, like no one really needs a James Mason impression. They're not going to remake 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea or anything like that. So, that's, or, Salem's Lot or anything. So that's kind of a useless one, but it's one that I always keep in my back pocket anyway. But funny thing, and it actually ties into Mark Hamill. We when we were doing the first Transformers show that we did, which was Combiner Wars, Titans Return, and Power of the Primes, for the third season, and I guess the second season when it first shows up, there's the Decepticon god Megatronus, who they hadn't cast yet, so they wanted to do they wanted me to lay down a scratch track for the character. Just so that they could start animating, and then they could have someone dub it in later when they started casting him and everything. And so, pardon me. So I did sort of a Tony J sort of thing, down here and whatever, and that was fun. And, and Megatron, why are you blah, 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 whatever the line was. I'm pretty sure that was exactly it. Megatron, why are you blah, blah, blah. Pretty sure.
I like that.
Yeah, right. I mean, it gets the point across real
Yes,
quick,
it does.
So it's threatening, very scary. But apparently, what happened was because they cast Mark Hamill to play Megatronus, so I got to have scenes with him as Megatron. But so apparently, what the showrunner told me was that they played my scratch track for him to to hear the beats and stuff, and he just goes, "What do you need me for? This is great." And I'm like,
"Yeah, holy shit!"
Yeah,
just so I'm just sitting like, hyperventilating, like I never got a chance to meet him while we were recording, but because they weren't allowed to say that he was involved yet. So when I went in to record Megatron, I was like, "So Megatronus, what do we got for that?" And they're like, "Oh, Mark Hamill came in yesterday." I'm like,
"What?
You didn't tell me." So but that's my almost meeting Mark Hamill story.
Look, now I want to make it happen. It's just like, we got to put it out there in the ether. It's like everybody that's watching and listening right now, it's like y'all need to all tweet Mark Hamill and be like, "Hey, we need to make this happen."
I would love to meet him.
Trav knows people. Trav's friends with Dwayne Johnson.
Oh, dang. Well, there you go.
Good old DJ.
Trav, you can make stuff happen. Now, to keep it on the Transformers talk, like, how was it voicing an iconic villain like Megatron? Like,
it was kind of daunting at first, honestly, because that was a chunk of years ago at this point. So I was in like my late 20s. It was weird because when I first got the audition, I auditioned for Megatron, Starscream, a whole bunch of other characters that were there, and they showed us, we didn't have a visual for him at the time, so I just sort of looked at, pictures of Megatron and whatnot, because I wasn't a huge Transformers fan when I was a kid. I was familiar enough. I knew that Optimus is this guy and Megatron is this guy. But, so I was thinking like, well, what kind of, how about his voice is just like a rumbling engine, and he just sounds like this, and he's got big teeth and whatever. So did that for the audition, and then when I got cast, they switched it. We figured out this way to make it a little less harsh, so it sounds like this, but then it goes down into the growl as we do it, and then it comes back out again. So we figured out a way to kind of even that out a little bit, so it's not just all the time. So what was weird though is that I didn't really have any preconceived notions going in, because I knew that Frank Welker voiced him, and David Kaye, and a whole bunch of other Corey Burton
Weaving in the movies, so it's like pretty studs.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Hugo Weaving in the films. Yeah. So so it was a weird kind of, but it didn't really, when you send off an audition, the usual rule is don't want it too badly. Right. So I sent it off and was like, okay, well, that'll never happen. All right. Yeah. So that's enough of that. But thankfully, they did come and get me for Megatron, and then I was like, oh yeah, there's some responsibility here, because those first few seasons of the first show were post Megatron and Optimus have been banished, so Megatron's kind of super retired, a little punchy, he's not exactly more scary maniacal villain anymore. So the fans tended to call him Sassy Megatron, because he would just sort of not take anyone's crap, which was great. Yeah, exactly, because he was just like, what was that you always used to say, Prime? Oh yes, transform and roll out. Just making fun of Optimus and things like that.
Yeah, so a lot.
Yeah, exactly. So there was a lot of that in there, which was fun. So in that way, it kind of felt the pressure was a little off, because it was just a kind of a different but the same version of Megatron. But I guess what helped a lot was that they didn't say, like imitate Frank Welker or whatever. They didn't really have any specific ideas. So the fact they picked me was really fun. And so now we're doing it on Netflix for another show. So
now, Jason, keeping it with the voice acting, Banks asked you about any other impressions you could do, but were there any other voice actors that you kind of took inspiration from?
You mean for Megatron specifically?
No, in general.
Oh, in general.
Anything. Just in general.
Gosh. I mean, for some characters, I draw on folks like Jonathan Freeman as Jafar was nice. One of those for that was for Prince Renathal for World of Warcraft. I took, so he's a combination, a little bit of Jonathan Freeman, a little bit of Michael Crawford as the Phantom of the Opera, and a little bit of Jeremy Brett as Sherlock Holmes. So we end up getting this sort of very, good evening, Moorwalker. And so, and he goes up and down in this very English sort of way, and I finally got to play a vampire, so that was fun. But but some of the more like biting moments and things like that were definitely borrowed from a few different sources. But that's what's kind of nice about doing certain characters, is that even if it's a bad impression, you can use that to make a good voice.
Yeah. Right.
So because it doesn't sound particularly like any one of those actors, but altogether it can kind of make this thing. So I always thought that was fun, and that's what I did for that character.
Vocally play with it like clay, kind of.
Exactly. You like. Yeah. Exactly. Nice. You just take a few different kinds of clay, put them all together, and voila. That's absolutely right. Yeah.
Now I do have a second question for you. You said that Transformers coming up wasn't particularly your thing. Did you have favorites? I know you did mention that you played instruments coming up, and sometimes that can eat a lot of your time. That's just how it can.
Sure, but I was a big Star Wars kid.
Nice.
I love Star Wars, still do. Love Star Wars, always. Love to be in a Star Wars thing. Putting that out in the universe too.
Put that.
But yeah, exactly.
That's right.
So yeah, I was always a big Star Wars guy, and that was it came from like my grandfather used to I think possibly because he's a World War II vet and everything, so I think he liked kind of the dogfight aspect of the Death Star trench run and everything like that in A New Hope, because it was like straight up shots taken from World War II, like dogfight footage or whatever. So I remember when I was a really, really little kid, and it's only a vague flash of a memory, but I went into his house, we were visiting the family and stuff, and that was on, and I was just sort of transfixed by, this guy in this weird big black helmet and ships flying around, and what, I was probably 4 or something like that, so I distinctly remember that, and then he stopped the tape, rewound it, and we watched it from the beginning, and from then on, I was hooked, and I still don't watch it in any other way other than the the original trilogy VHSs. I only watch those on VHS because I just don't much care for the special edition ones.
Yeah. You don't like that? You don't like that CGI they went in and added?
When they have 18 dewbacks in the background for no real reason. No, but yeah, Star Wars has always been, a big thing for me.
Close to the heart.
Yeah,
so
exactly. It means a lot to me now.
Yeah.
How did you feel about the new trilogy?
Started off really, really fine.
I love that answer. Leave it right there. Leave it right
there. That's about how I feel about that. It went off the rails a little. I mean, my thing is like, okay, if you're gonna the Force Awakens starts off and it has kind of the same beats to A New Hope for the sake of making it feel familiar, which is a smart idea.
Yep.
But then, we get to The Last Jedi, which, granted, upon the first watching was like, oh man, what did they do? But it's like, then, at least it tried to do something different. And then the problem is that in the third one, JJ's like, no, we're going to take all that back and go back to what I was doing or whatever, and that's when it gets all out of hand and everything was retconned from the second movie. And it's like, just build on what was there. Okay. Even if it's not what you wanted, just build. All right.
I mean, again, just going back to Last Jedi, when you have a guy like Mark Hamill that knows his character inside and out, and he publicly comes out and trashes the movie and says Luke would never be like this. You need to consult with, not every actor needs to be consulted or whatever, but a guy like Mark Hamill who's been playing Luke for 40 years, most certainly needs to be consulted on that script and get his feelings about things.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, they ended up kicking him off the press tour, because he was just trashing the movie in interviews.
And it's
Mark Hamill gives no F's. You know what I mean? He's going to say what's on his mind.
Exactly.
And, same.
And I mean, it hasn't changed my love of Star Wars or anything.
No,
but it definitely, but it is like not my favorite conclusion to that particular set of stories. Now, The Mandalorian, that is incredible. Love The Mandalorian.
So was The Bad Batch, if you've been watching The Bad Batch.
I have started to watch that. When The Bad Batch first showed up in the Rebels, was it Rebels or Clone Wars? When did they show up? Clone Wars. When they first showed up, I was like, man, these like Ninja Turtle archetypes. I am not into there's the tech one, and there's the strong one, and there's the leader one. It felt really derivative to me. So I didn't really like them in those episodes. But in The Bad Batch, I'm really liking what they're doing. I think that smooths out kind of the jolt of, wait a minute, why do we have 5 episodes dedicated to these random people we've never met before? So yeah, I'm liking The Bad Batch a lot now. I have to keep watching it, but I'm a couple episodes in, so I'm pleased. I like how it's going.
Yeah, D. Bradley Baker killing it.
He's so good. All the roles, he's so good at giving them each an individual sound, but all the same. Oh, he's so good.
Yeah,
he's genius.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that if it does ever happen, it's out there in the ether, but if they can get Sebastian Stan to play Luke Skywalker.
I remember that. I remember seeing that.
He looks like he can be Mark Hamill's son.
He really does. I'd never thought about it before, but it really does.
Yeah, and since we're talking about it, man, I gotta talk about the ending of season 2 of Mandalorian when Luke shows up.
Oh my god!
And Banks, what is his name? The guy that plays the main protagonist, like in real life.
Pedro
Pascal.
No. I'm sorry, I meant the antagonist. The older black gentleman.
Yeah,
Giancarlo Esposito.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Dude, this dude, when Luke showed up and this dude just sold it, man. Because you got to think, Luke was like a myth. This dude took out 2 Sith Lords, you know what I mean? So to these guys, this guy's like the scariest man walking the universe.
Yeah, because he's a ghost that
dude, and he sold it. You could see in his face, he was scared. So scared. And dude, that moment was That's
I
probably the
wasn't
most epic
expecting
moment
that
in
at
Star
all.
Wars. That was the
Yeah.
most epic moment in Star Wars I've ever seen.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting
was
that at
class.
all. And it looked good too. It looked really, really good. Like that.
just-
oh my God.
Just the whole
Spectacular.
thing where it's just like they only sent one X-wing, and I was just like, oh,
Yeah, I was like,
snap.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You only sent
right.
one X-wing. That's all you need, brother.
All you need
That's all you need.
is to get
That's
him
all
from
you
point
need.
A to point B.
Yep.
Mhm.
And of
So
course,
Jason-
Pedro. Oh, I'm
go
sorry.
ahead,
I just
Trav.
wanted to praise
You're good,
Pedro a
Trav.
little bit because again, we're talking about a guy that wears a helmet for his whole life,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and when he takes that off, he really sells that he wears nothing but a helmet. Like us, we can move our eyes, but even him, like he turned his whole body,
Mhm.
this
Yeah.
dude just sold it, man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
And can we talk about a show making really weird and interesting use of Werner Herzog?
Right.
Like that was I did not realize until the trailer came out and he was just like, hello, I would like to see the baby and whatever. Like just like, wait a minute. Werner Herzog's in Star Wars? That actually
is,
works really well. I don't know why, but
he
it
was
does.
he was in Jack Reacher. He did a really good job.
Oh,
in that.
yeah,
that's
he was the main
right.
antagonist. That's what. Yeah, he was the wolf or something like that. They called him. I can't.
Something
Well,
like
he was
that.
like a. He escaped from like a prison or got
Yeah.
released, and he was like a terrorist basically.
He's
Yeah.
just such an
His
interesting
voice
guy.
is amazing.
Yeah, right.
So strange. I
So
love his
eerie.
voice.
I love it, yeah.
He's really spooky. Honestly, they
Yes.
should have him be in more stuff to be just take up the trailer dialogue from now on because he
why
was
not?
so effective in that Mandalorian bit.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Creepy narrator.
oh yeah, but Mandalorian was just spectacular, and Tamara Morrison coming back for Boba Fett was god,
Oh,
yeah,
so
yeah.
good.
thank you.
God,
I always liked Boba Fett growing up, and it was just like people were like, well, that guy he died, and then it was cool to get some, closure.
See
to
how
it.
much of a
If
badass
that-
he really
Yeah.
was. 'cause you didn't get it in the
Exactly.
movies.
Yes.
Yep, finally he gets to come back.
Yeah,
I was-
it was amazing.
But it's
Yeah.
one of those things because it's like, remember in the first episode, we see Josh Duhamel and he's wearing the armor. And
Right,
it's
yeah.
like-
yeah.
I'm just like, yo, is like, do you think we're going to see Boba Fett? And then Boba Fett shows up.
Once you see the armor, bro, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
You had
Yeah.
to know in your heart. You had to
Mhm.
know.
It was that, it was like the Tony Stark and Cap moment.
Yeah.
Did you know?
Right,
Did
yeah.
you know?
Did you know?
Oh my god.
Now, Jason, I wanted to ask you because besides doing like voiceover work in animation, you've done voiceover work in video games. Like,
Yes.
how different is it to do the voiceover stuff in video games compared to animation?
Video games, honestly, I would say that one of the big differences is just that there's a lot more. There's just a lot more to do, because you have a lot of the efforts that aren't the giant fighting efforts are like, pick up a small object, give me an ABC take. Pick up a medium object, give me an ABC take. Pick up a heavy object, an ABC take. So it just becomes a lot of things like that. So it's a little weird that way because I always like doing dialogue stuff more.
Right.
But then you get to that part of it and it's kind of like winding down for the day or like cleaning up after a meal or something. Like, I don't want to scrub this pot, but it's got to be done.
Yeah.
It kind of feels like that. Some of it's crazy fun because, you get a direction like, okay, you're getting stabbed with a chainsaw sword and then it gets turned on, so you get to like, or whatever. Like you get to do crazy weird stuff.
Yeah.
So that's always fun.
You know what's always weird to me in video games specifically, but they do it in animation too,
What's that?
is I've never seen so much grunting to do activities as
Oh, yeah.
you get in video games. It's like,
Oh yeah.
I've never seen anybody pick up the hammer and like never, ever
Oh,
in
yeah.
real life.
Oh yeah,
ever.
you talking about that Zelda dialogue? That's all.
Oh, man.
That's all
Yeah.
Link can do.
Yeah, it's true. Poor Link was never
remember,
taught how to speak.
Nope.
But yeah, honestly, it's kind of like that with that's kind of something that bugs me in movies, but it's with sound effects where someone
Right.
like holds up a gun and it makes a cocking sound. It's like, but you didn't do anything,
Mhm.
and things like, or you just
Yeah.
pointed or whatever. Like everything has to make a noise.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's exciting, or like you draw a knife and it goes shing. And it's like, why does it do that? The sheath is like leather. It doesn't make a shing noise. Whatever. It's just one of those things where you just have to fill dead air with something. And
Yeah.
The
sometimes
Power
that's
Rangers,
dialogue.
every time they move, you hear the gust of wind.
That's
like-
true. Yeah,
Mhm.
that must be really annoying when you're trying to sneak around. But yeah, so I think that's one of the bigger differences between animation and video games is that video games you just have more of these efforts and sounds to do, but also that sometimes you get to be a lot more specific. But I think that's mainly it for me is that you have to deal with a whole lot more efforts and grunts and jumps and falls and pains of different varying kinds and things like that. So that's the big difference for me. And sometimes it's more challenging, but I love it. It's funny. Everybody is always very nice up front. They're like, okay, so we're going to save the efforts to the end so that you don't, have to. But if at any point your voice hurts, because, I do that kind of stuff a lot. So, they're like, if at any point your voice hurts, I'm like, don't worry about it. I can do it. It's fine. Just bring me a whole pot of tea and a cup and some honey and I'll be fine. Because that's what I do. I'll just have throat coat and honey and just drink it constantly.
Do you have a vocal coach at all or anything that kind of helps you?
I do not. No, I do not. I usually just follow general advice of I'm just a no. That's definitely not it. No, because I've bruised myself a few times, but nothing too crazy, thankfully. But I just follow the general thought of try and have something warm on your throat. If you feel it's starting to hurt, stop. Don't audition with a voice that you can't maintain for at least 4 hours. That kind of thing. So usually I just try and go in with making sure that I'm all straight on everything first, rather than having to deal with the aftermath later.
Right.
Yeah, because I know when we had Ken Michael on, he voiced the protagonist in the Saints Row video games, and he was saying that you just have to do these lines sometimes where it's just like if you're on fire and you just got to keep on screaming. There's so many times where your character can be dying or falling, and sometimes it does take a toll on your voice, because it's just like you might be doing 30 recordings of you just dying.
Oh yeah,
and you have to scream, or so it's interesting to hear the voice actors take on doing these lines of dialogue, because it can be very tiring on your voice.
Oh yeah, I can, and you can get throat bleed and stuff like that if you push yourself too hard. You bust open your throat, and thankfully I've never had to deal with that, and I would like to not. Yeah. But that can really wreck you, especially if you have another session afterwards or something. You have to cancel that. Yeah, it can get bad.
No, it's just crazy, because it's like when you think about Funimation when they first started getting the ball rolling with Dragon Ball Z. God! It was a lot of screaming. What I'm saying? So, okay, you imagine if anime was as big as it is now back then, and it's just like, oh God, it's just like when Sean had said he passed out when he did the Super Saiyan 3 Goku scene. Can you imagine going to work the next day and having to try and record a calmer character? You know what I'm saying? So,
and especially if you're on a schedule or something, I can't imagine doing that.
Somebody get his phone and cancel everything.
Exactly, because my least favorite thing is being late to anything. So especially if it's for a medical reason, I'm like, damn it, I can't do it. All right, fine. So then it just takes a toll on my sanity. But now I had to cancel it or move it, and I'm late, and or whatever. But at least it keeps me from walking in the door 10 minutes after it started. So, apologies.
Back off of the video game stuff. Are there any video games that you currently play now, or were there any favorites that you had growing up?
I can answer the second part, can't answer the first one. I'm not much of a gamer. I don't watch a lot of anime, and I don't play a lot of video games. I'm that guy. No, growing up though, yeah, absolutely. Especially because my grandma, rest in peace, she used to have an NES and a Super Nintendo. So, I grew up playing those, all the original Mario games, the original, and then 2 and 3, Super Street Fighter, Contra 3, Super Mario World, all that sort of stuff. So I'm a big platformer guy. If you just give me a character and a platformer, I'm happy. But I can't do these online crazy multiplayer, everyone's shooting, everything's chaos. I can't, I can't do that.
Not for everybody.
No, that just does not work with my brain. That's too much to pay attention to all at once. And I can't focus on all that. So I've never like played Valorant or anything like that, and I've been told like I should, and I'm like, this is like for esports, like big time gaming people. I definitely don't want to try and play this. But I like watching other people play it, and I like watching other people play video games. But honestly, the last like system and set of games I bought was the PS2, and it was Star Wars Bounty Hunter, that Jango Fett game. That game rocks.
I actually have that on my PS4 right now.
Yeah. You can. Does it work on the PS4?
No.
Well,
they
have the PS now.
Yeah.
It has a bunch of old titles, and I'm actually playing it.
Now I'm gonna have to buy.
It's just fun.
It's so good.
Yeah,
I
you
love
can get
that
all the
game.
old stuff. Well, a lot of old stuff up there. So
Really?
They don't have everything, but they do.
Not
have,
everything.
Like,
they have a good chunk.
Yeah. I mean, hey, if they have that, I'm happy.
Yeah, they got them both on the Bounty Hunter 1 and 2 up there, and they're on the Switch. So.
Oh man. Oh, that's fantastic.
Yep.
Yeah, I had no idea.
I think that's the fun thing about, just a sidestep. Well, we're kind of on video games.
Sure.
But like Nintendo, that's what's always so fun about them. No matter when you played them, they always find a way to keep it available. You know, the past titles and stuff. So if like the new stuff isn't for you, you can go back and play your platforms.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
I love them for that.
Yeah, because I mean, I have that little Super Nintendo Mini thing that they came out with.
Yeah,
so I've got all those games on that, and that's just a delight to throw on.
Yeah, like if you want to just
I'd like to play some nostalgia.
Yeah, if you want to just kick back after a long day and just play a platformer, you know, nobody's going to come up and shoot you. You know,
exactly. You don't have to worry about your internet connection.
Yeah, there's no trolls in there.
No trolls.
Just Goombas.
Just Goombas. Yes,
no trolls, just Goombas. Nintendo.
That's right.
Now, Jason, one thing I wanted to say is, first off, I want to say that your grandmother, she sounds like an awesome person because she had a Nintendo and an SNES. Like, this is the second time that we've had a guest up here who has said like something cool about their grandmother. We had Harvey Tolabau up here, and he said that his grandma, she collected comic books, and like she was the reason.
That's awesome.
She was the reason that he became a comic book artist, and I just think that it's awesome when you was just like, yeah, my grandma, she had a Nintendo and an SNES. It's like my grandma didn't have any of that stuff. Like your grandma sounds way cooler than my grandma.
You know what? What was crazy too is that mine. Yeah, sure. But what's funny is that my grandma also she would like. She would play Tetris a lot, so much so that by the time she passed, the tube TV that was one of the tube TVs downstairs, when it was turned off, the black screen just had the Tetris thing like burned into it.
Oh,
so
that's pretty sweet.
And what's weird is that she would not play it like, like this. She would play it with the thing facing away from her and pushing the buttons like this.
Oh, wow.
That's how she would use the old square controller. It was crazy. I'm just like,
she a fighter pilot?
She must have been something, you know? Like, I don't know what it was. Secret agent, something or other, because that's crazy. I've tried to do that ever since then. And I'm just like, I can't. I have to look at it and I have to use my thumbs. So she was crazy. She was.
Hey, don't ask, don't tell.
Exactly. I mean, hey, it was clearly a secret. I am not a member of that Mason Lodge. I don't know what that was, but
Now, to take it back to voice acting, like you've done some work. I mean, we already talked about Transformers and we talked about Dragon Quest, but you've been in some top level animes like Hunter x Hunter, One Punch Man, Yashahime, which is the sequel to Inuyasha. And of course, my favorite, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Diamond is Unbreakable. And it's just awesome because it's just like, I don't want to say I grew up watching this because I just watched it a couple years ago, but it's like, I feel like, we've had a lot of voice actors and actresses from part 4 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Diamond is Unbreakable. So how was it being on that? Like, I know that you say that you didn't watch a lot of anime and whatnot, but did you know, or did you ever see any of the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure memes online? Because that's how I got into the series.
No, that was another one where I was like, okay, what's this? Because that was my first time working at Bang Zoom for anime. And so, they sent me this, they said, hey, you've been cast in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Diamond is Unbreakable as Keicho Nijimura. And I'm like, okay, what's that? And I looked it up and I'm like, oh, the character. Okay. He's a big military guy. Okay. I can
look like
swing that. He's, Yeah, exactly, right. And I'm like, do you have I'm like, he must use so much product to get his hair up that high and then push over and everything. Like, he's just got to dump a bucket of stuff on his head. Like, I can't imagine. But yeah, doing that was really fun, especially because everybody else in the cast was so good and easy to play. A lot of people had recorded before I had, so it was easy to hear their lines playing off of mine as I got to record stuff. So that was a lot of fun, though, because again, one of those like I didn't expect, because I didn't know anything about it. So going in, I had no expectations whatsoever. And then I'm like, okay, so I'm this guy, and he's got a bunch of little army dudes that are in bad company, worse company, because we can't say bad company. And okay, and he uses them to do the thing and fight that guy who's got that thing, which is a big, okay, wait a minute. So like, it was just a lot of, I had to have it. Tony Oliver was directing it, and I had to take a moment a couple of times, just be like, all right, so wait, where are we? And he's like, okay, so here's what it is. And he would explain it to me in the most succinct, excellent way possible, because Tony is a brilliant guy. And it was all gravy from there. Like, my thing with pretty much anything I do or watch is like, I'm never one of those people that's like, oh, I can't believe this. Why does Star-Lord have a Walkman in space? Where does he get the batteries? Like, I'm not one of those people. If you just lay out the rules of the world and say that that's how it works. Okay. So that's kind of, it's kind of like with JoJo. It's like some people have these things called stands that somehow you get by shooting an arrow through the thing, whatever. So that whole thing, I'm like, okay, great. I understand how it works. Let's go. So it was a lot of fun from that point, getting to play this character, especially because he's a clean shaven guy. He's kind of, angular in the face. He's well coiffed. He's not, I usually get older mentor characters or big scary bad guys. Yeah. So it was fun playing kind of an attractive man. It was interesting that way.
Now, go ahead, Trav.
No, you go.
No, I was going to ask, by any chance, I know that they came out with the live action movie, and did they have? When I saw it originally, it was subbed, and I wanted to know, because I know sometimes they do a dub for the live action movies. Now, did they do a dub for that movie? And okay, so there was.
I have no idea. I didn't do it, but I'm not sure. I remember that's one of the things that definitely comes up when you Google it, though, is a lot of the live action stuff. But no, I've never seen. Is it any good? Should I watch it?
Oh yeah. I thought it was a really good movie.
Okay.
Now is this JoJo?
Yeah, this is JoJo.
Okay.
Now, when it comes to a lot of anime adapted films, like they're really not that good. But
it's kind of like D&D films where it's like great.
Yeah. But yeah,
how'd they get Jeremy Irons in this?
But no, it was really good. I enjoyed it, and I know that Araki, he thought that it was a good film, because the last time one of his creations was put in theaters, he walked out because of how bad it was.
Ooh.
Yeah, so
that may be the worst slap in review for anything, is like, yes, the creator left.
Yeah.
It's like,
not good. Definitely not good.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to what Toriyama for Dragon Ball Evolution. Like,
boy,
I remember he said that he didn't have any input in it at all.
Clearly.
Yeah.
That was a rough movie. That was a rough movie.
Yeah. It was it's still one of the,
which is kind of a shame, because like everyone who's in it is a certifiably good actor.
Yeah.
So what happened?
They just couldn't do it.
No.
Yeah, some of them went off to continue to have success in Hollywood after that movie.
Sure.
Good. That's great to hear.
Yeah.
Well, I think most actors have been in some stinkers.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
But Trav, it's always good to know somebody can still walk after a car accident.
No, for sure. I mean,
nice,
hey, at one point in time, Captain America had whipped cream on his ass cheeks. You know
that is true.
Hey, but look, that movie is hilarious.
It
and
is.
That was America's
that's different. Yeah, and that was still America's America split.
Nice.
Now, I want to talk about the voice recording thing, but really just going back to Transformers, because when you come in there, the cool thing about stuff like Transformers is the modulation they do to y'all's voices, because they're not dudes, you know what I mean? They're robots in disguise. And so like when you're doing that stuff, are they auxing that stuff out to where like you're getting those effects, or you don't even hear what your voice is really going to sound like until you see the finished product?
Yeah, it's really not until we see the finished product. Thankfully, with the Netflix show, they really mostly just sort of throw a sort of mechanical echo over everybody. Like it's nothing too crazy. But in the first 3 shows, they actually had a different filter on me like every time. Yeah, so that was interesting because, at one point it had sort of a creak under it that was, and I'm already doing this with my voice. So, I already kind of modulated myself. But yeah, so that I guess helps a little bit. But yeah, no, usually we don't hear that until it comes out. Because I think actually in going back to Dragon Quest for just a second, I think the original language track in that there was some sort of like almost like doubling up of like if you took the 2 waves and doubled them up and then like just moved them a little bit apart from each other, so it has like sort of a duo effect to it. I think he had sort of that sound on his voice, but they didn't end up doing that for me. Because I remember asking them, I was like, "Are you going to modulate this?" And they're like, "We're not sure yet." So it's always a crapshoot. We have no idea what it's going to sound like when it comes out. We just go and do the best we can and hope that whatever filters might be on something, it comes out sounding pretty cool. So thankfully, usually it does. So
now I had a question. We had Brian O'Vera up here, and he was telling us that for some of the characters that he voiced, he went out and he bought the figures for some of the characters that he did. Now,
I keep waiting for you to start this and be like, we were talking to someone and they said that Jason Marnocha is the worst
no
ever met.
Got torch lights in his studio.
No, you were
boots on fire. I don't know what he is. But I'm sorry. But go
no, you're fine. Honestly, we've never had anybody come up here and say that anybody is this. Like, it's just good vibes, and everybody always talks about like how they love working with somebody.
Oh yeah, that's how we try to keep it. You don't go very far in this voiceover business if you're not at least like supportive and cool with everybody.
I gotta admit, I can't wait until we do get the black sheep in here.
Oh, can you
and
imagine?
We find
Someone just
out
comes
who
in spilling tea everywhere.
Oh, God.
That's gonna be really weird. We've had a lot of awesome guys.
They're gonna be talking crap about everybody.
And and whenever she got out of the booth, it just smelled like.
What? Got this whole unairable episode just
we can't put this out there. Like
it's got to go up on an extra Patreon tier or something. You pay for that one, and we'll release it for you.
The black episode. What's that?
They're gonna be at Trav's house with the pitchforks and
nobody's gonna be at my house.
That's right, Trav.
Whose name is on the show?
Hey,
yours. They ain't gonna be at my house.
My name might be on the show, but when they look up the address for where it's coming from, they're gonna come to your house.
Don't worry, Trav. I'm gonna pull up in the Batmobile.
Hey,
there you go.
That's not how that works.
You see that sword back there on the shelf, Trav? I got you. It might be plastic, but I got you.
Okay.
Hey, but Jason, like, are there any characters who you voiced that you're just like, hey, I want to go out and get this figure because it was cool. I had fun voicing this character.
Yep.
There he is.
Yeah, I have a few. I have a lot of Megatron stuff now. As a matter of fact, I just it should be coming in sometime this week, ideally. But I pre-ordered the. There's that 3-0 company. They put out a War for Cybertron, which is our Netflix show. They put out a die-cast Megatron figure from that show.
Yeah.
And it looks incredible. And it's super articulated, and it's, mostly made out of metal. So that I absolutely had to get because, they release our character figures in like the lines and stuff like that. And they do have a paint that I have of the first season Siege. They had the Megatron where he has like the Netflix paint on him, but it's not exactly accurate. It's close, but this is like the most accurate thing ever. And so I have a lot of those. I have a lot of Megatrons at this point, including one that's like 2 feet tall, which is really nice. Yeah, its eyes light up and it's super like it has articulated fingers and everything. Like you can pose it doing anything. And I got that because I was told, try and only grab one Megatron thing at this one TF Con, will you? Because I was a guest there. I was like, okay. So I did. I only bought one. It's just this big. So, I stood by my word. Yeah, and the other stuff, Frank Todaro, who plays Starscream in both shows, he's a big Transformers guy, so he knows, all the good figures, all the third party whatevers, and why you shouldn't do the whatever. He knows all there is to know about these figures. So occasionally he'll like grab me one that he's like, this is one you need in your collection. It's really cool. So
sick.
So he knows what's up, and he's a good dude. I love that man. And so because of that, I have a lot of Megatrons. I have the one Keiichi Nijimura figure that I could find. Nice. It's a little statuette. I do have that. Otherwise, there's usually not a lot of stuff for my characters, because my characters are, villains that don't have their thing yet. I mean, ideally, I'll get something for Orochi, the Monster King from One Punch Man. Mm-hmm. Hopefully, he'll get something because he has a really cool visual. But otherwise, I try to collect these things, but they just don't make a lot of, I want a Funko Pop of like Nanbu from Megalobox or something, I want something like that, but it's hard to find, but when I can, I grab them.
Yeah, Funko, if you give them time, they'll usually release some.
Oh, they have to, because they make everything.
Damn right. Yep.
I guarantee Valorant's gonna get a Funko Pop line.
I hope so. I really want something.
Got it. Fortnite's got it. I'm sure that Valorant's gonna get it at some point.
That's true. I mean, they've got to at some point, right? Because I know that Riot themselves are putting out like statues. They have Jet and Phoenix. They have two really cool statues out right now. I think they're making them for all the agents. Right. And once they have an Omen, you better believe I'm grabbing that one because I like that character. So he's got a cool visual too. So I try to grab what I can, but it's hard to find some of my characters.
Yeah, we know you Megatron, so
that's
true. Yeah, honestly, that's the trade-off, right? Is that I have an embarrassment of Megatron options, and so because of that, I have less of everything else. Like that's the trade-off with the universe, right?
Yes.
Yeah, one thing, like growing up, I always wanted to get the Transformers toys, but like I've never actually played with a Transformers toy. Like I played with the Ninja Turtles, the wrestling, but it's like I remember one time my mom she was gonna get me. It was the Beast Morphers. Was that
Beast
it?
Wars?
Beast Wars.
Beast Wars. Yes, Beast Wars.
Thanks. Come on.
And she was gonna get me the Cheetah toy. And then I ended up doing something dumb in school, and I didn't get the toy, so that was on me. But
I remember I had Silverbolt. Love that. God, I missed that. I mean, it was just a cool turnout. Go ahead, Trav, take it.
No, I was just gonna say, it reminded me of a time I remember I was huge into Jim Carrey when I was a kid, and The Mask was one of my favorite movies. Mm-hmm. And even though he won't in it, the Mask animated series was my jam.
Yeah. Sure.
And I remember I went in my parents' closet, towards Christmas time, and I pulled out the Mask figure. And I like parading around with it, right? Like, I couldn't even contain my excitement. I ratted myself out. Hey, guess what they took back to the store, and I never got that.
Oh, no way!
That's wild, man. I know similar story. My cousin, we were over at my aunt's house, and I think she had ran up to the store or something, and he went into her room, opened up the closet door, found all the WWE figures, opened up everything. And then he tried to tell his older brother and his sisters, he's just like, hey, there's stuff in there for y'all too. Y'all need to go ahead and open it up. And so then she comes back home and she goes into their room, and like all these wrestling figures are on the floor. And she didn't even wrap them up. And like she just said, well, hey, this is all y'all's Christmas stuff. So hey, y'all ain't getting none for Christmas. Can you imagine like waking up on Christmas and be like, I thought we were getting more stuff. It's like y'all open everything. well, not y'all. He opened everything.
Yeah.
It was just wild. I remember I was just like, did she have anything in there for us? And he was like, I don't know. There's nothing marked. It's just all unwrapped toys.
Bro, the videos of specifically there was one where the kid thought he was getting the
Turbo
PlayStation 4. Nah, they took the PlayStation 4 box and, wrapped it up. Kid opened it up. He's like, I'm getting the PlayStation 4. He's dancing with the box. He opened it up. That jank empty, bro. And he's crying.
Yeah,
and I'm like, man, I know he's going through a heartbreak right now, but I'm laughing.
I've seen one similar where the kid had opened up the box and it was his report card or something in there. And,
Oh my God.
yeah, and it's like you really thought
Gotta be careful.
You really thought you was gonna get a PlayStation 4 with F's and D's and everything.
Instead,
like,
you're just getting time to think on your sins.
So
Merry Christmas.
What like, out of all of the stuff that you've been a part of, like what are some of your favorite projects that you've worked on?
Oh man. Definitely Transformers, just because Megatron has become.
Yeah, that's
I've gotten to play. Yeah, and I've gotten to play.
Right.
Retired Megatron and also like Warlord Megatron, which has been really fun. I also I did really like doing Dragon Quest Your Story. That was a lot of fun because again I don't get to play those kinds of characters very often, but those are maniacal villains are some of my favorites. So that's definitely one. And then honestly, Megalobox is big up there because that was the first time I was a main character throughout. And it was it was the first time I'd worked with Ezra Weiss, who was the director on that, and he's just a delight, and a really, really good dude. So getting to do that was fun as well. And then getting to play Prince Renathal in World of Warcraft, getting to play a vampire was also incredible. So getting to do a lot of those things, I'm really grateful. I got to get to play around in these worlds and stuff. I think being anything other than grateful to have opportunities like this is just the wrong response, I think. And now that he pops up on your screen, actually, Cerberus from Disgaea 6 was a lot of fun too, because that was just a weird, unexpected thing. That was this little pug, little zombie pug.
Yeah, he's a weird looking character.
Yeah. And he just sounds like me. So I didn't have to do much vocal change for that one. So that was interesting. So yeah, those are probably my favorites, I would say.
Hell yeah.
One final thing that I want to say, and then Trav D, if y'all have any other questions.
Come on, you already know by now. You gotta know. You gotta know, babe.
I know D's this is D's section of the interview. But one last thing I wanted to ask you was, what advice would you give to anybody that would like to get into the world of voice acting?
It's probably been said many times, many ways. That
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Here's a box for PS4. But I'm pretty sure others have said it before. But it's, as Rob Paulson says, it's small V, large A. The acting is the big part of it. Just because you can do goofy voices, really just try and hone the acting craft as much as possible, because it is a craft. It's a never evolving thing. You don't, I try and take classes when I can. I've taken some with Pat Fraley and things like that. And it's, you want to just continue building and learning as much as possible when I'm in the booth with other actors, which happens rarely, but when it does, I try to watch them and see what they're doing and stuff. It's always just a constant learning process. To ever think like, well, I've done my acting time and I don't have to learn how to act anymore. It's like, well, just be open to that. So I guess that would be my advice, is just, take some acting classes, take some voiceover classes, things like that. Really just find where your instrument sits, and don't be afraid to look goofy in the booth, because sometimes, you do wacky stuff just to get a certain sound. So, just have fun.
And that's the thing too. It's like, I personally, like, I think you would just have natural born talent to do this sort of thing, because it's like singers. Like, some singers are just born with this voice that they were just meant to sing, and then other people have to hone that craft and work at it. And anybody can become a singer. Some people are just born to sing, and I think it's clear, like, the voice that you have is just so powerful.
It's meant to do this.
Yeah, it's meant to do this, and it was meant to play Megatron, man. Because as a guy that's just a huge Transformers fan, and I love the War for Cybertron series, the trilogy that Netflix did, and
taste, I see.
Hey, they keep postponing Kingdom, and I'm gonna need Netflix to come correct with my part 3 ASAP.
Oh, you'll see it soon. I keep waiting too. I never have it. That's the funny thing, is a lot of people will be like, hey, when's this coming out? When's that coming out? I'm like,
exactly.
I don't know.
I just want to.
Don't tell us. I just went in and did the thing and then went home. I don't know what we're doing. I don't hear nothing. So, but yeah, I'm waiting for that to come out too. I'm really excited to see.
They said July. So
Yeah,
we'll
that's
see.
what I heard last. Yeah.
We'll see.
I just want to piggyback off of what my man Trav saying since we got you here in the room with us, spiritually. Take it easy on my man Starscream. You know what I'm saying? Since I got you in here, you know, wanted to say that. I've been waiting to tell Megatron.
Give Starscream the business.
Yes. Yeah.
He's got to remember his place. Look, I already made him captain of the Seekers. What more do you want?
Classic.
Oh yeah.
Thanks for that.
Of course.
Is it my turn for my question, Banks? Thank you. You honor me truly. Now, first, what I like to ask our guests here on Leveling Up is, growing up, was there a horror movie or a TV show that really spooked you and kind of stayed with you? Was there anything that kind of did that?
A couple of things, sure.
Nice. I love a couple of things.
One thing was the original Nightmare on Elm Street. When Freddy's coming down the alleyway and his arms are stretching out really wide, that's still super spooky and weird. Just because it doesn't quite move right, that kind of thing is super weird. And also, still probably one of my favorite horror movies is the 1960s The Haunting. That The Haunting of Hill House show. They just sort of did that. Yeah, but The Haunting is super spooky because so much of it is like, stuff you don't see and you only hear.
Yeah.
Like when she's in bed and you sort of hear the people arguing across in the other room or whatever, and one of them starts laughing and stuff, just really eerie, and just thinking about it, my spine just did chills going up and down.
Yeah,
I'm really specific about my horror. Like I
love asking this question because you just get so many answers and it's fun.
Oh, absolutely,
so fun.
Yeah. So those are ones that really stick with me.
Hell yeah. And the second question, did you have a favorite 80s or 90s movie?
Ooh. You know what? I did. 80s is definitely a little more up in the air, but 90s, I still think that the best Batman film ever made is Mask of the Phantasm.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic.
That one is definitely my pick for probably one of my favorite movies. I love Mask of the Phantasm. It just hits on every cylinder, and it's just atmospheric and perfect and wonderful, and it's gorgeous to look at, and the performances are amazing. So
absolutely.
Yeah, you can't
that's
go
the
wrong
standard
with
I have now for animated Batman stuff. Is like, is it
that
as good as
90s
Phantasm?
Batman,
Yeah.
Too good.
Just
Banks,
fantastic.
have you seen that one before?
Come on.
All right. And with that being said,
hey D, this is another time where it's like I've seen everything that the guests have said. So
well, hold on. You said 80s was up in the air, but it's like if you were gonna throw some toss-ups.
That's right, Trav. I like that.
What are you juggling?
Here you come.
All right, let's see.
Comes.
All right, so because initially my answer was going to be the 89 Batman, because that counts as the 80s, and that's still it's not. Looking at it objectively, it's a little bit like Jack Nicholson just sort of wearing white makeup, but it's still it's not really
love
the
that movie though.
But I still love that movie. I do.
Yeah, I love that movie.
Yeah, and oh man, I'm trying to think of. Suddenly I'm second guessing myself if it is an 80s movie or not. When did Caddyshack come out?
It came out like 89.
I was gonna say I thought it was late 80s.
Caddyshack's really funny.
Caddyshack just still hits. Funny. It's still honestly there was a thing on Twitter not too long ago that was like favorite one-liners, and one of them that I was gonna do was the my answer initially was gonna be the do you take drugs, Danny? Every day. Good.
Great movie.
I love that movie.
Now, Banks, have you seen Caddyshack?
Yeah, 1980. 1980.
There we go. Okay,
so even older than we thought.
Now,
no kidding.
Yeah, that is, man. That movie used to come on so much.
Oh yeah.
Wow. Holy cow.
That's how I saw it was on TV.
Now, is that one of the ones they play around the holidays, right?
No,
they usually is Caddyshack. When is Caddyshack? Well, it used to air on TV. I felt like it was always on, and I was just
probably like in the summer.
Yeah, I was gonna say Comedy Central used to play it all the time.
Yeah, I was gonna say, dude, that was one when my grandma told me to sit down, and I started looking through the channels. Yeah, that was on. Man, I love that.
It's like you're always going to get a Christmas story, not a Christmas story. What was the National Lampoon movie?
Christmas Vacation.
Christmas
love
Vacation.
that movie.
Yeah.
When he couldn't hook them lights up.
Oh yeah.
He blew a gas.
Anything with Rodney Dangerfield, man, it was.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
R.I.P. man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. What was the dog movie he had?
Yeah, I was saying, with the exception of Rover
Dangerfield.
Dangerfield.
Yes.
Rover.
That was a great animated movie.
Dude, I haven't
right.
seen it in years, but when I was a kid, I was a fan of that movie.
Yeah,
when I was a kid,
sure.
I was confused by it because, again, like I knew Rodney Dangerfield from different things. I'm like, why is he this sort of Marty Feldman-eyed dog? Like, what is that? You know, like it was very strange. So I never quite understood that when I was a kid. Now, as an adult, I still don't quite understand it. But you know, I mean,
speaking of not understanding,
the check cashed, so I'm sure it was fine.
Yeah. Before we let Banks wrap this thing up, does anybody remember the movie Nothing But Trouble?
That sounds familiar.
With John Candy, Demi Moore, Chevy Chase, Dan Aykroyd.
No, but that's
very strange movie.
Okay, now I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's like a hell of a lineup, though.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No question. That movie's very strange. But I was thinking to myself, was John Candy the first person to play like multiple roles in one movie? Because he plays like a sister. I think Dan Aykroyd plays multiple people in the movie too. And it was like Chevy Chase and Demi Moore. I think they had just got hitched and they end up cutting through like a county or something, and it just gets really weird. Yeah, I was thinking about him the other day, John Candy.
Rest in peace to John Candy.
Oh my God, I was just watching Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Great movie.
Oh, that movie's so good.
I was wondering, I'm glad you brought that up, Jason. I wonder if that was what they used for inspiration for the movie Due Date with Robert Downey Jr. Because it's kind of like the same, you know, it's kind of like the same premise. Like they end up getting stuck together and they were, he was at the airport. So it was just
honestly,
something I thought about.
That might be considered a remake of it, kind of. Yeah, because that is a really similar premise. You're right.
Yeah, because they get stuck together and they can't stand each other.
Great. It's a good movie too, man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But yeah. With that being said, Jason, thank you for joining us up here on Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. You are an awesome guest, and we appreciate you being a part of the Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks family now.
Thank you for taking the time out.
No, thank you. This has been wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. And again, it was nice to just sort of be like, you know, getting movie questions and things like that. Like, that was fantastic. I can talk to you guys about movies all day. So
that's what
if you ever want to do this again, let me know.
Nice. We'll do a movie trivia night.
Yeah. I mean,
you can be the narrator. We got a narrator for it and everything.
Oh, yes.
I was going to ask you to be our DM, but you know, that's better.
Not above that.
Yeah, make sure you bring your floating flame ball too.
Oh, of course, naturally. Everything I'm holding right here. No, but thank you guys. This has been wonderful. Thank you all so much. This has been fantastic.
Yeah, you're welcome. So before we let you go, let everybody in social media land know where they can find you at.
You can find me in all manner of places. I've only just recently consolidated all of my usernames into one. So it is at the letter J, Marnocha, Marnocha. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Twinstagram, wherever else. They're all the same. So it's all just at J Marnocha, and you can find me there.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hell yeah.
D, let them know where they can find you at.
Well, Jason, first take these with you. Only use them when you need to.
Will do. Thank you.
And you can find me at rebellious_D23 at Instagram.com. Trav?
Hey, and since you're on the Instagram already, you can find me at ZK Audio. And then, of course, you can head on over to the Twitter and find me at TravioszK. And, of course, somebody's needing number one hero. Where they going to find one at, good sir?
You can find me, your hero, Benjamin Banks, at KingBenji_Banks on Twitter and Instagram. And you can look me up on Facebook at Benjamin Banks. I should be the first person to pop up. If not, then I need to contact Mr. Zuckerberg. Jason, thank you again for joining us up here on another new episode of Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. Like I always say, keep that pinky up, stay positive. We'll see you next time on Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. Peace.
Thanks again, everybody, for watching another episode of Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe to the channel. Podcast, we got that too. Make sure you give us a thumbs up and hit that bell for further episodes and notifications. Thanks a lot to our patrons. And if you don't mind, join the Patreon. We'll be having new specials coming up soon.